right, so Proverbs chapter 12. We're at the end of chapter 12. I thought we'd finish, but then I was reading something in Proverbs, or not Proverbs, but in Jeremiah last night. And so let's just go ahead and turn there. Let's see, Jeremiah chapter 38. So the last verse we left last week, we covered last week, was Proverbs 12:22. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. So this is probably, most of Proverbs is pretty much milk. It's pretty easy to just read it and get the idea. And this is a pretty simple concept as well. Tell the truth. I've heard Jordan Peterson say, tell the truth or at least don't lie. And that's kind of basically a good principle. You don't always have to volunteer all the information. Just don't answer, okay? Sometimes you don't have a choice. You either have to lie or you have to tell the truth, though. And so this just kind of got me thinking. So I would consider this doctrinally a little bit more of a minefield, because we're going to talk about times in the Bible when there's lying, and not bad people lying, because that's easy. If a bad person is lying, well, he's bad. He shouldn't be lying. Well, what about when good people lie? So Jeremiah was a prophet. He was stuck in prison, and then moved back and forth to all these different prison places, from a bad place to a better place, to a worse place, back to the better place. The worst place was the pit. Let's see. So Zedekiah is the king, and a little background. The Babylonians, also calls them Chaldeans or Chaldeans, are attacking Jerusalem, and Jeremiah, the prophecy is, hey, surrender. And they don't want to hear that. They don't want to surrender. So Zedekiah has heard this prophecy, and they don't like it, but he goes back to Jeremiah and he talks to him. This is the last time he talks to Jeremiah. Chapter 38, verse 14. Then Zedekiah the king sent and took Jeremiah the prophet unto him into the third entry that is in the house of the Lord. And the king said unto Jeremiah, I will ask thee a thing, hide nothing from me. Then Jeremiah said unto Zedekiah, if I declare it unto thee, wilt thou not surely put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, wilt thou not hearken unto me? So Zedekiah the king sware secretly unto Jeremiah, saying, as the Lord liveth, that made us this soul, I will not put thee to death, neither will I give thee into the hand of these men that seek thy life. That's always important, to get that second half, like, oh, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to have somebody else do it. So, always make sure you get that second part of the I will not kill you statement. Verse 17, then said Jeremiah unto Zedekiah, thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, if thou wilt assuredly go forth unto the king of Babylon's princes, then thy soul shall live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, and thou shalt live, and thine house. But if thou wilt not go forth to the king of the Babylon's princes, then shall this city be given into the hand of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand. And Zedekiah the king said unto Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Jews that are fallen to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hand and they mock me. But Jeremiah said, they shall not deliver thee. Obey, I beseech thee, the voice of the Lord. Obey, I beseech thee, the voice of the Lord, which I speak unto thee. So it shall well be unto thee, and thy soul shall live. But if thou refuse to go forth, this is the word that the Lord has showed me. It goes into detail. Oops. I don't know, we need to read all that. So let's skip down to verse 25. I didn't say much there. Oh, sorry, verse 24. Then said Zedekiah unto Jeremiah, let no man know of these words, and thou shalt not die. So don't tell anybody, and you won't get killed. I won't kill you. Somebody else might not kill you. Either way, you won't die. But if the princes, now we're talking about the princes, not princess, princes, the Jewish princes within the city that were powerful, and Zedekiah was at odds with them, or not necessarily at odds, but he had to listen to them and their opinions, and they didn't want to give up. But if the princes hear that I have talked with thee, and they come unto thee, and say unto thee, declare unto us now what thou hast said unto the king, hide it not from us, and we will not put thee to death, also what the king said unto thee. Then thou shalt say unto them, I presented my supplication before the king, and he would not cause me to return to Jonathan's house to die there. That he would not cause me to return to Jonathan's house to die there. So that was part of the prison. Then came all the princes unto Jeremiah and asked him, and he told them according to all these words that the king had commanded. So they left off speaking with him, for the matter was not perceived. So that's where Jeremiah stayed until the city was taken. Now, Zedekiah didn't take his advice, much to his dismay. The consequences were pretty bad for Zedekiah. They killed all of his sons in front of him. They poked out his eyes. That was just immediately. So he definitely should have listened. But that's not necessary. That's an obvious thing. We need to listen. God says something, right? We don't like the answer frequently. Sometimes, I got something. So I told you last week that I had something, where I was given some rumor on Friday. The guy's trying to ruin my weekend, and I'm like, thanks a lot, bud. Just enough to make you worry. So, but I prayed about it, and I said, and I'm able to reflect back on, and anybody can do this at any age if they try. You can reflect back on what God did for you. Clell's a young man, okay? I don't use that term man loosely or lightly. But, he went to football camp recently. And that was hard for him. He was scared. He was very nervous. Did not want to go. But he did it. And you know what? He prayed a bunch before he went, and he asked Pastor to pray, and Brother Scott to pray, and me to pray, and Jesse to pray, and Mom to pray. And you know what? He did fine. Okay? So now, even though he's only 14, he can reflect upon when God has done something for him. Okay? So, what was my point? Where was I? So, anyway, back to Jeremiah and what he said. So why did he lie? Now, I don't know, other than he was promised he wouldn't die. I think at this point, things were so bad, he probably would have been killed by the princes. Or he would have been killed by Zedekiah, because it would have put him in a really bad spot. So I can't say that the lying. Yes, go ahead.
Well, God already promised him he would not die. He just had it. He's human. Fear overcame him.
Yeah, he had to promise that.
Other than one or two people, we see all of them fail at some point. This is Jeremiah.
Okay. So,
That's how I see it.
yeah. I mean, lying's a sin. Okay. But yeah, so probably just a human failure there. Let's go to Joshua 2. So this one I find even more interesting because Rahab is counted as a person of faith, right? She's mentioned in the New Testament. God thought, thinks, since she's still alive. Yeah, I think you're right. So he thinks highly of her. But I mean, I don't know if I should go into the whole story or not, but so, just to kind of sum up the story, we have the spies from the Jewish spies, and they're being hidden by Rahab the harlot, which is always a reminder that God doesn't care about your position in this world. It does not matter, even a little bit. He will use you. He cares about what your heart is. So she believes in God, and she says in verse 10, or actually, let's see, verse 9, and she said unto the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, so she's talking to the spies, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you, when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we had heard these things, our heart did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you, for the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that you will also show kindness unto me in my father's house, and give me a true token. So they say that they won't kill her or her family. That's actually, I'm sorry, that's, where's the actual, oh, yeah, so, sorry, I actually jumped ahead. So that's her demonstration, her believing God. That's counted to her for righteousness. That's her faith, right? This is a Gentile, a heathen, professing her belief. This is how she's saved. Sorry, I wanted to back up and go to verse 5, verse 4. And the woman took the two men and hid them and said, Thus there came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. So wist is know, wist what. Those words mean know. I know not whence they are. Where they are, probably where they went, or whence they were. And it came to pass about the time of shutting the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men, this is her talking, whither the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. But she had brought them to the roof of the house, and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords, and as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. Anyway, so she hid them. She lied to the people pursuing them. Okay. Now, I don't think anybody knows it's not okay to do wrong in order to do right. But you do have a moral conundrum here, okay? It's also wrong to deliver people to their death. So this is really a decision, very personal decision, that she made in order to protect the spies. Now, God could have miraculously intervened to protect the spies, but he wanted her. He was using her, okay? So She lied. Let's turn to 1 Kings 12:6. Now, this is why I say this is me. I don't know if I mentioned, this is kind of a minefield because there's not, these aren't super clear. Even the thing with Jeremiah is like, well, why did he panic? If so, that explains it, but we still have some questions about lying. Now, and we will find out in, where did I say? 1 Kings, right? Sorry. Blame this on me doing my Bible reading last night and thinking about lying and some of our discussions after church last week. So 1 Kings chapter 12. This isn't looking right. This isn't. Oh, that's not right. Where am I? I'm saying you to the first. It is 1 Kings, but it's chapter 22. Sorry. 1 Kings. Oh, I'm in 2 Kings. All right. So. So this is with Ahab, and basically he wants a prophecy, a vision to bless what he wants to do. And Ahab, not a good guy. So he gets a prophecy, well, he gets kind of a joke prophecy. So he gets a joke prophecy in 17, and then in 18, the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, Did I not tell thee that he would prophesy no good concerning me, but evil? And he said, Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right, on his left. And the Lord said, Who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on this manner. And there came forth a spirit, and stood before the Lord, and said, I will persuade him. And the Lord said unto him, Wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, Thou shalt persuade him, and prevail also. Go forth, and do so. Now therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and for the Lord hath spoken evil concerning thee. All right, so don't be confused here. This is not endorsing lying. I'm not attacking God. I'm not trying to take anything out of context. I'm just trying to bring up the point that sometimes there are some interesting things. God cannot lie. It is one of his attributes. Okay, but we know angels can lie. Okay? Fallen angels, right? Okay, but they were angels. So, well, this is a lying spirit, right? Angels can fall. So that means angels can sin. So, God uses different things. Now, it's like with Pharaoh. God, it says, there's one verse that says, and God hardened his heart. It's like, well, okay, well, he doesn't have a chance. Poor Pharaoh, right? Well, God gave him lots of chances. Okay, well, now God's using him. Okay? Now, he's made his decision. The die is cast now. He's done. He had a chance. Now God's going to use him. But God gets to use all of us, right? So, God uses bad people to bring about things on this earth. That he used all sorts of horrible things because Israel wouldn't obey. Invaded Israel in the north, Judah in the south. Who here doesn't think Hitler was used by God? So, and that's why I say this is more of a chewy, meaty portion of doctrine that is something to meditate on and think about, and even potentially, encourage your own study. Now, for myself, what would I do in these situations? Well, I would choose what I would consider to be the lesser evil, like I'm hiding people. Okay, well, so I would consider it like if I give up these people, their lives aren't mine to decide what to do with. They would die now. But if somebody else said, well, I trust that God will deliver them, okay, I'm not going to lie. I can't say that's the wrong choice either. I think we all don't know exactly what we would do in that situation. If you were hiding Jews, well, in Nazi Germany, well, you're already breaking a law, right? Because you're not supposed to be doing that. Okay, but then there's, Jews are God's people. It's not okay to murder. That's definitely what the Germans were doing. So that, and that's not what this is talking about here in Proverbs, where it says, lying lips. But I did want to point out, because I think it's disingenuous to not bring up other things, more complicated things in the Bible, because as Kelly says, we're not a mystery religion. I'm not trying to hide anything from anybody here. Now, I don't want anybody to walk out of here confused. Yeah, like that. That's why, honestly, that is why there's so much so many dogmatic statements, because people do not understand nuance. They never did, they never will. They don't understand that, just like with alcohol, okay? We're not supposed to drink alcohol and get drunk, but alcohol is an effective muscle relaxant, which, guess what, is a medicine. And as Timothy said, drink a little wine for your stomach. That's an alcohol thing. But why do preachers preach against alcohol? It's because nobody understands nuance. It's like a 1 or a 0, a yes or a no. I can drink alcohol, it means I can do whatever I want. Okay? Well, guess what? The Bible is full of nuance. It is. We're supposed to speak truth. But we're supposed to do it in love. Right? If we go out and get in fights on the street and start being antagonistic with people, that's not a good Christian testimony. I like the pro-life things I've seen recently because they're not in people's faces. Now, the pro-choice or pro-murder, whatever you want to call them, people, yeah, they are. They're violent. They're abusive, physically and verbally. But a pro-life person, at least a professing Christian, should never be that way, because you're supposed to be doing it out of love. You don't hate the young woman who's going into the abortion clinic. You care about them. You care about the life. And if she goes to the abortion, you still shouldn't hate her, because she doesn't understand she's murdering. Okay? She doesn't get it. No young woman would willingly murder their own child. Okay, that's probably, there are crazy people and pure evil people, okay, but the normal thing is. So there's nuance in the Bible. We have to be mature enough to find that nuance. The lying lips here, there's not a lot of nuance. We're just talking about out and out liars. And honestly, it is so bad now. It's insane. And I'm getting tired of it. Like, I've been tired of it. But I'm seeing it come from the other side, the side that I would align myself with. I'm seeing more and more lies on that side. It's like, well, they do it. It seems effective. Now we're going to start doing it. And, you're still a liar, okay? And God considers that to be an abomination. Yeah, lying liars. Adolf Hitler, Joseph Goebbels, it's hard to pronounce his name. Everybody knows who Hitler was. Joseph Goebbels was Hitler's propaganda minister, and very effective one. He really believed, though, I mean, he died in the bunker with Hitler. But one of them said, you know, tell a big enough lie long enough and people will start to believe it. So, I mean, as I've heard it said, we live in kind of a post-truth era now. You don't know what to believe anymore. You can't. So all we can do is trust that God will help us make our way through this. And that's one of the things that Proverbs says he provides. He provides light. He shows us the path. He leads us. He will show us danger so that we can get out of the way, okay? I pay attention to the news. I don't watch the news. I never watch the news. I read it from lots of different sources and try to shake out the truth from that. But God doesn't want us to be ignorant. He doesn't want us to have our heads down. But he does want us to have faith and to not worry, because he will take care of us. All right, let's continue on with chapter 12 then. Chapter 12, verse 23. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of the fools proclaimeth foolishness. A prudent man concealeth knowledge. Well, that means you don't. Why are you concealing knowledge? Well, consider the alternative. Anybody who's worked anywhere or hung around young boys or anything, somebody knows everything. Every once in a while, they do know a lot. But the tendency is, especially for guys, if you know even a little, you think you know a lot. Both Forrest and Titus, who are good guys, overconfident in some respects. Very frustrating at times. I have a disassembled car at my home because of overconfidence. My gun was being cleaned by one of my children, and he decided to fully disassemble it, not just clean it. And then he reassembled it, and it didn't work properly. Okay, so anyway, knowing too much, it's a very common thing. So you need to be confident in your knowledge and speak up when it's appropriate, but usually keeping your mouth shut is the right course of action. A prudent man concealeth knowledge. So Mr. Mike's a great example. He doesn't tell people what to do, but he will offer advice. And if you're talking to him about a problem, you seem like you're interested, he'll give you advice, right? I'm still, at 47 years of age, struggling with the interactions between men and women, because when a guy talks to me about something, they have a problem, now I'm giving them a solution. I'm giving them my opinion, because that's usually what guys want. Forrest called me up the other day, had a problem. It was a horrible problem in my mind and his. And then I was like, wait, am I giving you advice or do you want sympathy? Because I can do both in this case because I feel your pain. And he's like, what do you think? I'm like, I don't know anymore. Okay, because when dealing with my daughters and my wife, I need to be more sympathetic. But my wiring, the hard wiring of my body and my brain, the way God made us is to just give advice. So, women have even coined a term. It's mansplaining. I love to explain things to people. My daughters seem to listen better. And, my boys are like, yeah. But, so I'm trying to explain all this stuff to my daughters about things. I was explaining to Serenity the different drive types of a car, because they're doing driver's ed training. I'm like, okay, here's front wheel drive and rear wheel drive and all wheel drive and 4-wheel drive, but don't get too confused on all-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive, and I know I'm going into too much detail, but, it's stuff I understood rear-wheel drive versus, front-wheel drive at a pretty early age, but I didn't get all-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive. And anyway, we like to tell people stuff. That's guys for you. And so, as this proverb says, it's primarily pointed towards guys. So I think that that's really what it's saying. A prudent man concealeth knowledge. Just don't be a know-it-all. The heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. You're just gonna give the answer to something you know nothing about. It's always fun to hear young people offer their emphatic opinions about life's problems. It's like, how old are you again? How many experiences have you had? I think it's personally very amusing to listen to a young lady tell me how she can be friends with a member of the opposite sex. That one tickles me pink, because you can be acquaintances, and that's fine. You can be friendly, but if you become friends because of the way God made us, eventually one of you will be attracted to the other. Okay? It just will happen. Even the world knows this. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Okay, so hand of the diligent, so you just work hard, you're diligent, shall bear rule, so they're in charge, but the slothful and diligent shall be under tribute. So a tribute is a required payment for something. It's a tax, essentially. Usually we see tribute as a government paying tribute to, say, like the king in England paying tribute to Vikings, because they're saying, please don't kill us. And they're like, well, okay. But that only works so far, because people are like, well, you paid me last time, you'll pay me this time. And then they're like, okay, I just want it all. So, millions for defense, not 1 cent for tribute, is the saying I like. But a tribute is essentially money you have to pay, like taxes. Why do we pay our taxes? That's why you pay. Why does everybody else pay? Why does the unsaved person pay? They have to, yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, they will go to prison. The IRS has lots of, yes. The IRS has lots of armed agents, which is wrong, but it is. So taxes are something you have to pay. The slothful shall be under tribute. So what are we saying here? This doesn't say the righteous. It says the hand of the diligent. So we're talking about diligent versus slothful. This is true. If you're a slothful, righteous person, or a slothful, unrighteous, wicked person, unsaved, well, guess what? You're going to be under tribute. If you're a diligent person, you're going to be the CEO or a manager or something. You are going to have rule in some fashion over other people. You could be the manager of Burger King. Okay? You will have some power over other people. In fact, there's many people that I've known who are technical, but they're capable, and then they get promoted into a managerial role because they're capable. And that's something I do not want at all. So I duck it. But that definitely happens because they're diligent people. Verse 25, heaviness in the heart of a man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. Hey, when you're sad, it's nice to have somebody encourage you. Now, sometimes that's tough. Brother Mike says something to MJ, makes her cry. Jerk. Come on, dude. Come on. It's, sorry. Job's friends came and sat with him for a week because they didn't know what to say, and they were so shocked by how he was and everything. They didn't know what to say. Honestly, that's where I am most of the time. I don't know what to say. I do feel some things for some people more than I used to. But, then there's when you say the wrong thing, you're doing harm. A good word maketh it glad, but if you say the wrong thing, like Mike, you maketh it sad. So with Job, he called the people, miserable comforters are ye all. I just love that. I try to go and comfort my dad and end up making him agitated, but that's because he's pretty combative. And when he says things that are biblically incorrect, it frustrates me. Sometimes I think, tough love will help. It's not helping. I need to change my tact. Let's see. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor. Okay, so we know anybody can look at righteous people, and if they're objective, they can say, that is better. Okay? They can say, that person's happy. They don't have much. They just have a family. They have a job. They go to church. It looks like a boring life, but they're happy, And I'm happier now than I was 10 years ago. Probably because I've graduated a couple of my kids and sent them to the Marines, but I'm happier now. So why do people not choose this path? Well, there's obvious reasons of, sin is pleasurable for a season, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. Cannot say that word. So that's sin. Sin's seductive. Go to parties. Everybody's having fun. I want to have fun too. You go to a party, you feel kind of awkward. People are dumb, weird. It's like, well, why do I feel this way? Well, because you're not drinking. Well, okay, well, I guess I should start drinking. So now you have been seduced. Verse 27, the slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. There's the word diligent again. So this one I found interesting. I didn't quite understand, but it's obvious when you look at it. The slothful man roasteth, can't say that TH word right now, not that which he took in hunting. So he doesn't roast that which he took in hunting. That means he kills something, but doesn't want to do the work to dress it down, cut up the meat, et cetera, et cetera. We would go hunting when I was a kid, hunting for deer, not for glory or for fun. We did it for food. My wife will not cut up deer meat or deer, so that's off the table for our family. But you can go hunting and enjoy it. In fact, probably the biggest high I ever had was when I shot my first and my last deer. That was just insane. And it was, I had to chase the deer down because I only wounded it because I'm not that great of a shot. And, then I had to put it out of its misery. And that was something I will never forget. There's pleasure in hunting. That's why people do it. To this day, is because it's enjoyable. Now, you may not find pleasure in hunting, and that's fine, but it is for some people. But the person's too lazy to take the food back. That's just the worst. When I was growing up, there were trophy hunters. They'd go out, they'd kill something, and they'd leave the stuff behind. Well, now that is so, everybody looks down on that so much that now they will, go ahead and bring it home, and even if they don't want it, they'll donate it to some place that will cut it up and, do something with it. But we've seen people donate it, usually butchered and everything, and donate it to homeless shelters and stuff like that. So the substance of a diligent man is precious. So that's your material possessions. Look, my dad couldn't understand that because that made a big difference. That was providing our meat. We made hamburger out of it and all sorts of stuff, and it tasted good. It was 10 or so hours of labor, start to finish. Everybody had to help, but it was a good trade in his mind. It was valuable. So for those that do respect us, I think that's part of the reason. God wants us to be a good steward, and I hate waste. It's frustrating. Okay, my children obviously don't hate it as much as I do, but had a mouse thing break on me. Stupid switches die after a couple years. I've got the things to fix it, but I don't really have the skill. But I still want to fix it because I don't want to throw it away, because I know it's fixable. I think a good Christian should hate waste. Now, it's up to you to define what waste is, what's the proper amount. I know when Kathy was changing diapers, she used fewer wipes than Kelly did. And she might consider the amount of wipes he used, which is about half a package, to be wasteful. But he's like, I'm not getting any of that on my hands, so it's not wasteful. So, All right, last verse, and we're done with chapter 12. In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof is no death. And this is just a nice kind of final thought that, you know what? Death, our bodily death, that's temporary. It's not really death that we should fear. Dying is no fun. Getting old is no fun. Having strokes and losing your ability to do things is no fun. It's hard. That part's no fun. But death, we don't die. Our body dies, but we don't. We effectively just sleep. So, and even that is brief, because we get to be with the Lord after that. So, with that, I will wrap up. Chapter 13, honestly, continues most of these thoughts, but we will stop there for today. I will pray and dismiss us.